In the heart of the galaxy, deep inside the grand assembly hall of the Council of Species, laughter echoed. Tall, proud alien leaders sat on golden chairs, surrounded by walls of glowing crystal and floating screens. On one of those screens was a broken image of Earth, silent, dark, and burning. The council leader, a long-necked creature named Varlin, raised a hand and said, "This is what happens when weak species play with power." More laughter followed. Everyone believed Earth was gone. No human signal had been heard for 50 years. The stars had been quiet. The galaxy had moved on. One alien, a young scout named Krell, sat quietly in the back. He had never seen humans, only heard stories. Some said they were monsters, others said they were brave, but everyone agreed on one thing: they were finished. Still, Krell had seen something strange in the last report. A signal. Small, weak, but not natural. He looked again. The signal came from a dead zone, a place where no ship dared to go. It was full of broken planets and dark storms, but this signal was different. It repeated the same thing over and over. 3 words, in old human code. "We are coming." Krell brought it to his commander, but the commander just laughed. "Human ghosts, let them come." But Krell couldn't forget it. That night, while the others rested, he launched a private scout drone. It flew quietly toward the signal. No one knew. Not yet. Days passed. The galaxy continued laughing. On some planets, children played war games where humans were the enemy. Merchants sold human bones, fake ones, as souvenirs. And in schools, they taught that humans had destroyed themselves by refusing to follow the Council's peace laws. Then the signal grew stronger. A small listening post on the edge of neutral space caught it. The officer there, an old bored alien named Turok, almost ignored it. But then he saw the shape behind the signal. A ship. Huge. Burned. War-torn. The design was old, but familiar. Human. Earth-class battleship. But different. It had sharp wings, glowing red engines, and what looked like alien tech fused into its body. It was flying alone. Slowly. Toward a trade station. Turok reported it up the line. The higher-ups laughed again. "Send a greeting ship," they said. "Offer aid. If they're real humans, they'll need help." But when the greeting ship tried to contact the war-torn vessel, there was no answer. No message. No signal. Just silence. And movement. The human ship didn't slow down. It approached the trade station and stopped just outside. No docking request. No weapons raised. Just silence. The station commander panicked. He sent a team of mercenaries to board it. Tough aliens with sharp claws and laser weapons. They entered through a side hatch expecting old tech, broken controls, maybe scared survivors. Inside, it was dark. Cold. The walls were scratched with marks. Not letters, not numbers. Just strange symbols. One mercenary, a 6-eyed creature, named Joel, touched the wall. It was warm. The others moved ahead. Then, a loud sound, like metal screaming. Joel turned just in time to see one of his team fly back through the air, armor torn like paper. Something moved in the shadows. Heavy steps. A figure walked forward, tall, covered in black armor. No face visible. On its chest, the faded flag of Earth, burned, torn, but still shining. In its hand, a weapon made from a council ship's engine core. The alien screamed and tried to run. Only one mercenary returned, shaking, bleeding. He couldn't speak, only point at the airlock. "They're back," he whispered. Across the galaxy, alarms began to ring. Stations went silent. Ships turned toward the dead zone. The council stopped laughing. In the shadows of space, behind clouds of dust and silence, more ships began to move. War-torn, scarred, glowing with strange energy. They had come far. They had seen things the council could not imagine. And now they were coming home. The humans had returned, and they were not the same. The trade station hung in orbit like a floating city full of light. Noise and alien life. Traders walked the halls. Children ran past guards. No one knew what had just arrived outside. The human ship didn't move, didn't speak, didn't send any signal. It just waited. Station Commander Lurak, a thick-scaled creature with 4 arms, stared at the screen. "Why are they here?" he asked no one in particular. He zoomed in. The ship's metal was dark and burned. It had scars across its hull, glowing blue cracks and pieces of other ships fused into its body. Alien, human, unknown. It looked like a ghost. "We tried to contact it 23 times, said his officer. No reply. Commander Lurak sighed. "Fine, send in another team. If they're survivors, help them. If they're dangerous, deal with them." The second mercenary team entered through the same hatch. They were better equipped. Heavy armor, pulse weapons, scanners. Inside the ship, everything was still dark. No lights, no sound. The walls felt alive like they were watching. One of the mercenaries, a tall reptilian named Grak, stepped forward. "Clear your corners. Move slow." They passed a broken hallway. Metal was melted into strange shapes. A door slid open. Inside they saw a control room, but not like any alien ship. Screens were cracked. Wires hung from the ceiling. And in the center, a seat, turned away, facing a window. Grak approached. "This is Grak. We found someone. One life form. No movement." The seat turned slowly. The mercenaries froze. It was a human, or something close. His face was pale, half-covered in cybernetic metal. One eye glowed red. His body was strapped with armor made from bones, alien bones. His hands were on the controls. He looked at them and smiled. "You came faster than I thought," he said, his voice calm and cold. Grak raised his weapon. "Step away. Now." The human didn't move. "You shouldn't be here. None of you should." Then everything happened at once. Lights turned red. The ship rumbled. A loud warning echoed in all their heads, not from the ship, but from inside. Their minds. "We remember what you did." One mercenary screamed and ran. Another collapsed. Grak tried to shoot, but his weapon melted in his hands. The human stood up slowly. "This is not your war. Not anymore." Grak pulled his knife and rushed forward. The last thing he saw was the human's hand, glowing, wrapped in strange energy, slamming into his chest. Back on the trade station, the screens went black. Commander Lurak lost all contact with the team. "Lock down the station," he shouted. "Seal every door. Don't let that ship dock." But it was too late. The human ship moved on its own. No engines fired. It drifted toward the station, slow and steady. Docking clamps moved without being touched. Systems obeyed the ship's command. It didn't ask, it just entered. The airlock opened. Station security rushed to the docking bay. Weapons raised. Hundreds of aliens stood in formation, waiting. Silence. Then a loud sound. Metal against metal. From the shadows of the ship, a figure stepped out. Not the same human the mercenaries saw. A different one. Taller. Fully armored. His armor was stitched with torn flags. Not just Earth's, but others. Dead colonies. Fallen worlds. His eyes glowed blue. He looked at the guards. "No fear. No mercy. You all laughed," he said. "You watched us fall. You watched us die. Now, we show you what death really means." He didn't raise a weapon. He didn't have to. A pulse of energy exploded out from the ship. Non-lethal, but strong. It knocked out all lights. Shields dropped. Weapons failed. Cameras died. When systems came back online, the docking bay was empty. The human was gone. But on the wall, burned into the metal, was a message. "We are not the same." The news spread fast. Across the stars, fear returned. Council leaders argued. Some said it was just one mad survivor. Others whispered of a returning fleet. Then the images came. Other stations reported sightings. More ships. All human. All different. Old Earth designs, but changed. Bigger. Stranger. Like something else had shaped them. They didn't attack. They just appeared, watched, and vanished. But one thing was clear. Humanity had returned, and they had brought the silence of the void with them. The Council of Species met in emergency session for the first time in decades. The large crystal chamber, once full of pride and laughter, now echoed with fear and silence. The leaders sat in their high seats, tails twitching, claws tapping. Eyes nervous, Council Leader Varlin stood slowly. We must act. These humans must explain themselves. If they seek peace, let them say so. If not, we will be ready. But no one was ready. 3 human ships had appeared in different parts of the galaxy within a single day. Each time, the same thing happened. They arrived, ignored all calls, shut down technology without warning, and disappeared again. Some council members still tried to believe these were survivors. Maybe lost, maybe scared. But others weren't so sure. One of them, a small furry ambassador named Tika, looked at the council and said, "They didn't run out of space. They ran out of patience." Meanwhile, far from the council, the humans prepared their next step. Inside the largest ship, deep within its metal core, a group of survivors sat around a glowing table. Their faces were worn, their eyes tired. Some had metal parts, some had scars. All were quiet. The one who had entered the trade station, Captain Raina Black, and stood before them. "We waited long enough," she said. "They laughed while Earth burned. Now we show them who we became." Beside her sat an old man with a metal spine. His name was Kellen. He had once been a scientist. Now he was something else. He spoke in a low voice. "They don't know what we saw out there. They don't know what we fought. If we tell them, they will panic." Raina nodded. "Good." They activated a data crystal and a small image appeared, a galaxy map. Several planets were marked in red. Alien planets, council worlds. "These planets," Raina said, pointing, "are gone. Not because of us, because of what chased us through the void, because of what is coming next." One of the younger humans, barely more than a boy, asked, "Why warn them? They didn't warn us when they left us behind." Kellen looked at him. "We don't warn them for their sake. We warn them so they get out of our way." Back on the council homeworld, a new signal was received. One of the human ships, the same one that first appeared at the trade station, was requesting permission to speak to the council. The aliens didn't know what to do. Half of them wanted to attack, the other half wanted to hide, but they agreed. The message came in. A single human appeared on the screen. He looked tired, but strong. His armor was cracked and behind him there was a strange blue flame, not fire but something alive. "I am Commander Eli Juno," he said. 50 years ago, you left us. You said we were too violent, too wild. You called us a danger. So, you watched as enemies came for Earth. You watched us fall. But we did not die." He paused, looking into the camera. "You never came to help. You left children screaming in the ruins. You called it order. We called it betrayal." The room was silent. Commander Juno continued. "We didn't return to take revenge. We returned to deliver a message." He raised a hand. A new image appeared. A dead world, burned to ash, its moon broken in half. This was a council world. Not destroyed by us, destroyed by what chased us from the dark. We fought it. We survived. Barely. But now, it follows. The image shifted again. This time to a shadow, huge and shifting, moving between stars, no form, just a void, and a sound. A low hum that made even the strongest council members flinch. "You are not ready for it," Juno said. "Your weapons won't work. Your ships will vanish. But we've seen it. We've fought it. And we know its weakness." He leaned closer. "But before we fight again, we need to know one thing." The screen went dark. A single sentence appeared. "Will you stand with us, or stand in our way?" The council sat frozen. No one spoke. No one laughed. The humans had returned, not to beg, not to serve, but to lead. And behind them, in the deep silence between stars, something worse was coming. The council didn't answer. For 2 full days, there was silence. Across the galaxy, thousands of ships floated in space waiting. Some aimed their weapons at the sky. Others turned their scanners outward, searching for any sign of the threat the humans had warned about. But the humans didn't wait long. Captain Raina Black stood at the front of her ship's war room, staring at the star map. "They're still arguing," she said. "Still hiding. They think we're bluffing." Kellen, the scientist with the metal spine, nodded. "They think if they ignore us, the danger will go away." "It won't," Raina said, "and neither will we." The room fell quiet. Then Raina pointed at a red mark on the map. "Varnock," she said. "A council colony full of soldiers, full of pride. Let's pay them a visit." The crew nodded. They were tired of waiting. They had lost families, friends, homes. This was more than a message now. It was a warning they would carve into the stars. As the war-torn human ship jumped into hyperspace, across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. On Varnock, General Reschke stood at the edge of the training field. His troops marched below, tall, armored, confident. He had trained them to fight anything, even humans. He had fought in the last Earth conflict. He remembered human tricks, their rage, their strange strength under pressure. But that was long ago. He believed those days were over. Until the alarm sounded, a single ship entered Varnock's orbit. Black, burned, its engines hissed with blue fire. It didn't speak, it didn't slow. General Reschke rushed to the command tower. "Target it!" he shouted. "Blast it from the sky!" But when the cannons fired, the energy beams curved, bent, and vanished. "What?" Reschke stared. "That's not possible." The ship landed just outside the base. Reschke called for his best fighters, hundreds of them. Tanks rolled out. Drones buzzed in the sky. Then the ship's door opened. Out came 5 humans, only 5. They didn't carry heavy weapons. They didn't wear massive armor. They walked calmly, side by side. Reschke laughed. "Is this a joke?" He ordered his troops, forward. The first tank fired. The shell stopped in midair. It hovered, then turned, and flew back. The tank exploded. Then the humans moved. One lifted a hand, and the ground shook. Another touched a drone, and it fell like a stone. A third whispered something, and 2 soldiers collapsed, screaming, clutching their heads. It was not normal. It was not technology. It was something else. The humans had changed. Reschke's army panicked. Some fought, some ran, all failed. In 10 minutes it was over. The base stood empty. The walls were burned with strange symbols, the same marks seen inside the first ship. No one could understand them. Not yet. Reschke survived. Barely. He recorded a message with shaking hands. This is not human technology. It's something darker. They have seen the void. They have returned, not as soldiers, but as something more. The message reached the council. Finally, they acted. They sent ships, too late. The humans were already gone. The council called a new emergency meeting, but this time they didn't argue. They watched the video. The humans had wiped out a fully armed base with 5 people. No ships destroyed, no lives lost on their side. Council leader Varlon stood again. "They are not the same species we once knew," Ambassador Tika whispered. "Then what are they?" A voice answered, but not from anyone in the room, from the screen behind them. It flickered on without command. Commander Eli Juno appeared again. "You ask what we are?" he said, voice low. "We are what you made us." He stepped aside and the camera turned. Behind him was a cage. Inside it was a creature, twisted, black and smoking like coal. Its eyes were red lights. Its body was always moving, like it didn't belong in this world. "We found these things in the dark," Juno said. "You ran from them, we didn't, we fought, we studied, we bled, and we became." He looked back into the camera. You can still choose. Stand with us, learn, fight, or stand in our way. The screen went black. Across the stars, no one spoke. Because, somewhere out there, in the deep dark, something was coming. And humanity, broken, angry, and changed, was the only thing standing in its path. The darkness between galaxies was quiet, too quiet. In the empty space beyond mapped territory, sensors died, signals vanished, entire ships disappeared without warning. No wreckage, no distress calls, just silence. The Council called it the Edge, a place where no ship returned. For years they avoided it, until the humans returned from it. Now the Edge was no longer a mystery. It was a warning. Inside a human command ship, Captain Raina Black stood in front of a large holomap. The stars were slowly turning red, one by one. Not because of war, but because something was coming. A black wave, not a fleet, not a force. A hunger. Raina looked at her crew. We don't have much time. The void creatures are moving. They already reached Sector K9. That's 2 systems away from the Council core. Kellen, sitting at a console, spoke calmly. They still don't believe us. They think we're trying to scare them. Raina sighed. They don't understand. We're not the threat. We're the shield. She walked over to a cryopod and wiped the frost from its glass. Inside was a woman, asleep, pale, but peaceful. A symbol on her uniform read, First Contact, Unit Sarah Lynn. She was the first to touch one of them and live, Raina said softly. She still hears them in her dreams. Kellen frowned. If she wakes up now, she'll scream again. Raina nodded. Then we keep her asleep. Until it's time. Meanwhile, back at the Council, debates still raged. Some wanted to talk to the humans. Others wanted to destroy them. No one could agree. But then the images started. Not from humans. Not from scouts, from survivors. A mining station near the Edge had picked up a ship. Small, old, floating without power. They brought it in. Inside was a single crew member. Half his body was eaten by something unknown. His eyes were open, frozen in terror. In his hands, he clutched a recording device. The Council played the video. It showed darkness and voices. Not human. Not alien. Whispers, screams, laughter that wasn't laughter, and one sentence over and over. We see you. We see you. We see you. The station went dark 1 hour later. The Council didn't argue after that. They called the humans. Commander. Eli Juno stood before the Council for the first time in person. His armor was worn, his skin pale, but his eyes burned with cold fire. He spoke without fear. Now you understand. Council Leader Varlin swallowed hard. We do. We were wrong. About Earth. About your people. What do we do now? Eli turned to the screen behind him. We show you the truth. The screen lit up. It showed the inside of a human lab. Deep in one of the war-torn ships, floating in a containment field, was a piece of the void creature. Small, black, always shifting. Kellen appeared on screen. This is a fragment, he said. It can't die. It can't be destroyed with normal energy or matter. But it can be contained, if bonded to something stronger. The screen showed a human soldier standing near the creature. The void tried to reach him, but the soldier stood firm. It doesn't like us anymore, Kellen said. We changed. We carry something now, pain, rage, memory. The void feeds on fear. We stopped being afraid. Back in the Council chamber, silence hung heavy. Eli looked around. You need to choose, he said. You can help us hold the line, or you can stay here and wait for the dark. Council Leader Varlin stood slowly. We'll fight. Eli nodded. Then listen, and follow orders. This war won't be fought with fleets. It will be fought with will. He left the chamber. Later that day, a new signal was sent to all corners of the galaxy. It was short, simple, and human. Operation Final Flame begins now. Within hours, strange movements began. Human ships, old and broken, and lit up again. Stations once dead came back to life. On every planet where a human survivor lived, they activated something left behind. Beacons, hidden bunkers, secret, weapons no one else understood. Aliens watched as their sky filled with strange lights. They had laughed at humans. They had left them to die. Now, they followed them into the storm. Because for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy had found something stronger than fear. Hope, and it was wrapped in steel, scars, and fire. The stars were no longer quiet. War had returned to the galaxy, but it was not a war of planets or politics. It was a war for survival. Void. Creatures began to appear in real space. Not shadows anymore, but real, solid monsters. Twisted black forms with glowing red eyes, moving like smoke and fire. They didn't speak. They didn't stop. They only destroyed. The first system to fall was Kordax. The attack lasted 13 minutes. Not one survivor. The council panicked, but the humans didn't. They were already waiting. Captain Raina Black stood on the bridge of her ship, watching. The Kordax signal die. Her face didn't change. "Begin the lockdown," she ordered. "Seal the front, prepare the fire gates." Her crew moved fast. They had practiced this 100 times. Not against aliens, not against machines, against nightmares. They knew what was coming. Raina looked at the star map. 4 red dots now blinked. "They're testing us," she said, "looking for weakness." Kellen stood behind her, holding a small cube. Inside it swirled dark smoke, another void sample. "They're learning," he said, "but so are we." He opened a case and revealed something new. A silver crystal with human blood inside. Raina nodded. "Then it's time to fight like only humans can." Across the stars, Operation Final Flame began. It was not just soldiers or ships. It was everyone. Humans sent messages to all species, instructions, tactics, warnings, and one promise. "If you stand with us, we will stand until the end." Many planets answered the call. Even those who once mocked Earth now asked for help. And humanity gave it, not out of love, but because they understood something no one else did. If they didn't fight together, they would die alone. On the front line, Commander Eli Juno led the charge. His ship, the Ashborn, was the first to face the Void Swarm directly. The creatures attacked like a storm. They didn't use ships. They were the ships. Black claws ripped into metal. Red light burned through shields, but the Ashborn didn't fall because it didn't run. Eli stood on the top deck in full armor, holding a strange spear powered by void energy and human memory. His voice echoed through every speaker. "Do not. Give them fear. Give them fire," his crew roared in reply. The battle began. Humans used strange weapons, built from pieces of the void, guns that fired silence, blades that cut thought, shields powered by emotion. Alien allies watched in shock. They had never seen war like this. A small reptilian commander whispered, "This isn't a species. This is a storm wearing skin." And the storm spread. Every time a void creature fell, humans collected what remained, learning, building, growing. But the creatures were learning too. One of them finally spoke, not in words. In minds, Raina heard it first in her sleep. A voice cold and endless whispered, "Why do you fight? You should have died. Stay dead." She woke up screaming. Kellen rushed in. "It spoke to you, didn't it?" She nodded. "It knows who I am." "That means it's afraid." Raina stood. Then we hit it harder. But the void was not done. It attacked a key outpost, one filled with civilians, medics, and alien refugees. This time, it didn't come to kill. It came to take. Creatures wrapped in shadow pulled people away, not dead, but twisted, turned, changed. They returned days later, with black eyes and hollow voices. "We are yours. they said. Let us in. They were no longer themselves. That was the void's true weapon. Not fire, not fear. Infection. It broke minds, turned love to hate, memory to madness. The council begged for a solution. The humans gave them one. It was called Project Emberfall. A last resort weapon. Not a bomb, not a virus, but a light. A burning white pulse that wiped out anything touched by the void, even infected minds. It would also kill the host, but it was clean. Reyna stood before a group of commanders, humans and aliens alike. This is what war looks like now, she said. Not glory, not victory, just survival. She held up a small injector, a personal Emberfall unit. I carry one, she said. So should you. The aliens looked at each other and slowly nodded, because they knew the truth. The war wasn't just out there in the stars. It was inside them now, and the only thing stronger than the void was the will to fight it. Together, until the very end. The galaxy burned, not from warships or bombs, but from the silent, creeping blackness of the void. Worlds disappeared. Stars dimmed. Even time seemed slower near the infected zones. But one thing had not fallen. Earth. Once mocked, now it stood, as the final beacon. The home of the broken, the changed, and the fearless. The place where humanity made its last stand. Commander Eli Juno stood on the surface of Earth's old moon. A massive ring of ships hovered above like a shield of scars and steel. All human, all ready. Alien fleets joined them, one by one. Ships marked with symbols of once proud empires, now united under one banner. Not for Earth, not even for life, but for defiance. Inside the main war room, Captain Reyna Black reviewed the final reports. All systems online, her officer said. The beacon array is charging. Emberfall weapons are set. Reyna nodded. And Sarah Lynn? The officer hesitated. Awake, barely stable. Reyna walked into the cryo chamber. Sarah Lynn, pale and shaking, looked up at her. They're close. No, Reyna whispered. Sarah's eyes glowed faintly. They've changed too. They hate us, but they fear us more. Reyna kneeled beside her. We need your help one last time. Sarah smiled weakly. Let's finish this. In space, the void came, a wave of darkness with no shape, no center, just hunger. It swallowed light. It swallowed hope. But it stopped. Just short of Earth, because something stood between them. A ring of flame. Every human ship activated its final protocol. Emberfall. The sky burned white. The void screamed. Not in sound, but in thought. Every creature, every infected soul howled in rage. Then, something strange happened. The void spoke, not with words, with a single shared memory. A battlefield. A boy, human, crying, alone, a mother, dead. The memory spread to every mind. Human, alien void, the pain was real, it was human pain, and the void could not understand it. It tried to break it. It failed. Because pain didn't make humans weak, it made them stronger. Inside the Earth command ship, Sarah Lynn stood before the beacon array. It glowed with blue and gold light. She reached into her mind, into the memories the void had touched, and turned them back. She did not scream. She commanded. We remember every scream, every death, every betrayal, and still, we stand. The beacon fired, a pulse of memory, grief, love, rage. It was not a weapon, it was humanity, pure and raw. The void tried to resist. It shattered, piece by piece. The black wave cracked, not because it was weak, but because it had never felt. The light spread across the stars, burning the infection from every corner. Creatures melted. Shadows broke apart. Minds twisted by the void came back, crying, shaking, alive. The war ended, not with a roar, but with silence and light. On the moon, Reyna watched the sky clear. The stars returned. Earth glowed. She sat beside Eli Juno on a piece of broken steel. "We did it," she said softly. He nodded. "No monuments, no cheers. Just survival," she replied. "And that's enough." Across the galaxy, survivors rebuilt. Some planets mourned, others sang. But everyone remembered one thing. It was the humans who stood when no one else did. Not because they were the strongest, not because they were the smartest, but because they were too stubborn to fall. And in the end, that was what saved them all.